Welcome to the Redmond Public Schools School Board meeting, February 24th, 2026. Thank you for all the staff and the community members for attending. Greetings. With this, please, I'm going to have Kayla read the vision statement, please.
Redmond Public Schools cultivates an inclusive learning community where each student develops the knowledge, skills, and character needed to thrive as an engaged citizen, innovative thinker, and compassionate leader in an interconnected world.
Thank you. I missed the roll call here, so today we have Kayla Anderson.
Here.
Jeremy Koenig. Here. Rachel Schoenfelder.
Here.
And Superintendent Joshik. Here. And myself, Ryan Reister. Absent is Teresa Bjornstedt and Jim Bryant, and Jennifer Kipp will be joining shortly. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the meeting agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Rich and seconded by Mr. Koenig. Rachel, how do you vote on it?
Aye.
Kayla?
Aye.
Jeremy?
Aye.
And I also vote aye. Resolution passes to approve the meeting agenda. All right, first up is a student and school showcase.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mick Wendland. I'm the flight path coordinator for the school district. Thanks for the opportunity to come and speak and share a little bit of an update on our internship program. I've been in this role since the spring, or since the fall of 2018. So we've had internships every year since then. We have 62 interns currently across the community and a bunch of different career interest areas. We're close to 50 different businesses within our community. I'll send that information out to the school board. So it's just, the program's always been has a lot of great successes, but it's really just been a testament to our community, the number of businesses within our community that say yes, open their doors and offer opportunities for our students, including opportunities within the district as well. I invited one of my students, Miranda Beatty, here tonight. She's going to share a little bit about kind of her career interest, what she did last year, and what she's doing this spring and plans for next year.
So hey everyone, I'm Miranda Bade, and I'm one of the many Red Wing High School student interns. And it's really just been such a great experience, and it opens up so many opportunities that you wouldn't really think you'd get. I've always loved working with kids, but I've also always been unsure about what profession I really want to go into. And so Mick has set me up in placements at Kids Junction and daycares and Caldwell and Sunnyside. And it's really great because I've got to work with kids from ages infants all the way up to like 3rd grade. And I've also gotten to experience seeing what teachers do versus daycare providers versus paras. And it's just really such a great experience. And it really helps me make a more informed decision after graduation. And I've just gotten a lot out of the program.
So I'm fully decided plans for next year. I'm
Yeah.
looking at Southeast. We're trying to figure out if it's early childhood, elementary school. So if we come back, we maybe a teacher for winters in the future as well too. But we have students that are doing art-based internships, automotive, aviation, business, marketing, and finance, some independent study projects in biology, chemistry, cosmetology, dentistry, quite a few in education, engineering, healthcare, vet science, manufacturing, occupational training, and in the trades as well.
Mick, at this point, how many students are currently engaged in
62, yeah, out of a class of 143.
Do we have any construction partnerships, like for builds?
We had several students interested in construction this year. We didn't have time of placements. Usually try to get them in with Habitat for Humanity. Sometimes with the trades, we get limited if students aren't yet 18, and that was a number of our students. Just with OSHA, we have to stay in compliance there. Knobelsdorf has been a huge partner to support our students as well. We have 7 students with them in partnership with GCED, so they're all with them too.
Does Southeast do construction anymore?
They do at the Winona campus. Yeah.
That's yeah.
Which is, they can use that with the college promise, right?
Correct.
We're reciprocal with Winona.
Yep. So all of our students have access to both campuses. Yep.
they get any credits for the flight path programs?
Yes, they'll get a half elective credit per course hour. So Miranda has me on her schedule for 2 class periods, so she'll receive a full elective credit.
Nice.
And it's mostly seniors. We do have a few juniors from time to time. This year we do have a sophomore interested in becoming very proficient in Dakota language. So she's partnering with Perry on our staff and supporting students in the schools there.
Miranda, I'm sorry if you already answered this. Are you a junior or senior this
I'm a
year?
senior, but I did it last year too.
Okay,
So,
great. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Are you leaning towards Southeast Tech? Is that
Yes,
next?
That's,
Okay.
that's my plan right now. And then I'll probably transfer to Winona and go into early ed, I think.
In Winona State or?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay, great. Well, it sounds like a great plan. Thank you for sharing everything.
Thank you.
Great, yeah.
Any other questions?
Any further questions for Mike?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it. It's a great program too. All right, is that everything? Thanks for that. All right, do we have any public comments tonight? Good. We'll move on to recognitions and upcoming events.
So right now, some of the main things, I mean, we're entering into a lot of sports things that are going on. Some of that gets included in, Mr. Hartman's report a little bit later. Black History Month has been all through the month of February. The students have, BSU put together some events that I, wasn't part of, I guess, those days. I know that they had a pep fest. What day was that, Mr. Fuchs?
2 Fridays ago, they had a, probably, yeah. Sorry. So they did it at the high school level, and then in the afternoon, they went down and presented at the middle school as well. The issue led all those efforts.
And then, this was part of Snowball Week, or Snow Week, whatever that is referred to. The kids got to watch the women's hockey championship game for the Olympics, for the gold medal game. It was really a lot of fun to be able to watch kids. I wasn't in there very much, but I know that the high school staff was in there a lot. And they got some video of some reactions of the kids when the women ended up winning the gold medal, and of course, the connection they have with Taylor Heisey here. So it's really a nice thing. That was a lot of fun. Kids enjoyed it, and it was a good day.
You made some national social media accounts for that, for the reaction.
ESPN.
ESPNW.
I didn't know that.
Yes,
Yeah, realized it was national when I had some of my former family members from out in Oakland contact me and say, "Is this your high school?" I was like, "It is." We got lucky.
Okay, so anyway, there's lots of things going on. We'll go into some of the other recognitions, I guess, when we get into Mr. Hartman's.
Sounds good. Any further recognitions, upcoming report, or recognitions or upcoming events that anyone wants to draw attention to? All right, we're gonna move on to administrative reports.
So in each of the buildings across the district, they've been celebrating Black History Month in some fashion or other, and that goes all the way down to Sunnyside. They include highlights of important contributions and key figures, both past and present. They do that through morning announcements, and they've got focus collections of books in the library. There's been a number of things that have been going on there. They also had kindergarten enrollment registration. They had an evening here about 2 weeks ago, and we ended up with 68.
We had 69 turned in, plus 3 others that we'd had from our interpreter, and then about another 5 or 6 that picked them up and didn't turn them in.
So
In
roughly,
the 70s.
yeah, roughly 75 that got started there. So we got a good start on that. We encourage people who may have kindergarten children come in. If they did not register, to please get a hold of us. We'd love to have them, get that all set up for them. Twin Bluff, again, been working on some of these various things with Black History Month. They've had conferences that have been going on. They've got a spring leadership dance coming up. High school, kind of the same things that have been going along there. So as we get into activities, we have going to state swim and dive, our Nick Babcock, Luke Farrar, how do I say that?
Fair.
Thank you, Fair. Eli Flatham, Zach Mickelson, and Landon Nelson. It's all coming up here this week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Izzy Getzloff has been selected as the girls' head coaches, by the girls' head coaches as the 2026 Athena Award winner. The banquet is April 15th in St. Paul. So there's lots of things that have been going on and are going on. The girls are currently playing in the, I guess, the one half of the bracket. They're in the semifinals now. They play Saturday morning at 11 a.m. against Caledonia. So we'd like to have a good turnout for that. So again, just a lot of things that are going on.
All right. Moving forward, we'll go to the committee updates.
So at this point, I don't know if we have any committee updates that are,
The negotiations committee updates.
yeah, but really, there's nothing new there yet.
Well, moving on, we'll go to the consent agenda. So do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Ms. Pearson, seconded by Ms. Anderson. Sorry, Ms. Schoenfelder. Seconded by Ms. Anderson. Jennifer, how do you vote? Kayla?
Aye.
Jeremy?
Aye.
And Ms. Schoenfelder.
Aye.
I also vote aye. Agenda passed. All right. And on to donations and grants.
Okay, so donations and grants is a little, it's lengthy this time. So we've got one that may need a little bit further explanation. I'm hoping Mr. Bagel, you can maybe assist a little bit with this, but the Minneapolis Fire Department, Prairie Island, Treasure Island, through Operation Warm, has donated coats to, plan is a coat for every student at Sunnyside Elementary. So can you share anything a little bit? Please do.
Hello, everybody. So we, at Sunnyside, kind of randomly out of the blue, we were contacted by a representative of the Minneapolis Fire Department, said we'd like to give some coats to some Sunnyside kids. Okay, great. So been working with them for about 2 months to get this figured out. They actually sent us a bunch of coats. A lot of them were too small, and they're winter coats, and they're probably winter coats in Texas. They're really more like spring fall coats in Minnesota. But through working with them, we learned that this was through this Operation Warm, along with some donation through Prairie Island / Treasure Island. Not exactly clear where exactly the funding came through. In working with them, he actually said, I think we could probably bring a coat for every kid that wants one. So that's what we're looking to do. We're targeting whatever that Friday is, March 12th or 13th, whatever the Friday is, pending approval, of course. And families would have an opportunity to opt out if they are like, my kid doesn't really need a coat. And they're gonna let us keep any of the extras to be able to donate to kids in future years as well. So just kind of a fantastic. So if you Google Operation Warm, you kind of learn a little bit about what they do. And this is kind of what they do. It's kind of a cool deal.
When do the coats come?
They're already here.
Oh, I was wondering that.
I got the last 16 boxes late last week, so they're sitting in the room at Sunnyside right now. So I'm just kind of,
So you're gonna wait a couple weeks to hand them out, is that what it means?
yeah, we want to get the letter out to families, but I didn't want to do that until we knew we had approval. So we want to get the letter out to families as soon as possible, assuming approval tonight. And that'll give time. We've got an opt-out piece on the bottom that they can send in if they prefer their child not get a coat. And then I guess reps from the Minneapolis Fire Department will come down, and sounds like it's a little bit of an assembly line. You hold a coat up to a kid, you have a kid try it on, away they go. So they're all pretty similar styles, with just different colors. So they'll get some same colors. So
These are new jackets, I see.
brand new, yeah. So.
What a fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, just like I said, they just kind of got us out of the blue. We're like, all right, that sounds cool. So, yeah. Any other questions?
Are they gonna help make the kids wear them?
Yeah, I think we're on our own on that
I
one.
don't mean to make light of it.
I think we're on our own on that one. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so in addition to that, Pinnacle Wall Systems donated $1,000 to Tower View Robotics Program. Knobelsdorf, $100 to the robotics program at Tower View. SCS Elevator Products Incorporated, $100 to the Tower View Robotics Program. American Legion Post 54, $250 to the Twin Bluff Middle School Food Pantry. Molly Kiefer, $60 to the BSU. The Elks Club number 845 in Red Wing, $300 to the Tower View Robotics Program. Kiwanis Club of Red Wing, $100 sleds for Burnside Elementary. Michael and Daisy Shoemaker, $30 for ILF at, Burnside Elementary. It's the Innovative Learning Fund. And they also donated an additional $30 there to cover, so there's 2 donations of $30 from them. American Legion Post 54, $250 to the Twin Bluff Middle School Food Pantry. Honoring Dakota Project, $200 to BSU. Ripley's Rental and Sales, $100 to Tower View Robotics Program, and StarTech Computing, $200 to the Tower View Robotics Program. So a pretty good number of donations that went to Tower View Robotics. So thank you very much for each of those donations. They all help move forward the work that we're doing with kids. It's greatly appreciated.
Great.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution. Thank you very much.
Second.
All right, motion by Ms. Smith, second by Ms. Schoenfelder. Kayla?
Aye.
Jeremy?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Aye.
I will also vote aye. The donations and grants have been approved. All right, superintendent report.
So for the finance piece, there's just something I wanted to point out. We've been talking about compensatory aid on and off for a long period of time. We got an initial run for our compensatory aid for the upcoming school year. So if you'll recall that we were in a hold harmless last year because that number would have gone down last year under the existing legislation without that hold harmless. So now that falls off. And what they're doing now is they look back at our October data, October 1st, and as of right now, under the current runs, unless there's some change within the legislative process, our compensatory aid will go down about $562,000 for next year, substantial amount, because it goes from almost 1.7 million down to 1,135,000. So it's a substantial gap there. It's going to be something that we'll need to make sure that as we talk to our legislators coming up, there was a group that worked on that earlier, but it is something that it's kind of worrisome. That's actually very worrisome for us because there are some school districts in the state that their compensatory aid went up, and there are others that ended up going down. When ours goes down by a third, that's quite substantial. So there's going to be some, I'm curious to see just if there's any way that there can be any kind of movement on that, but just wanted to make sure that that was known as we get into our budget season. I mean, Chris is aware of this, and we've been working our way towards things, but kind of a negative.
Is there any appeal process when it's so effective, when it's such a huge chunk?
No, at this point there isn't, but again, you know, right now there's not any mechanism in place for a hold harmless, but the legislature could make some adjustments before they end up with that final piece. But right now I'm not overly optimistic about that.
So do we understand the primary causes? Is it primarily just based on our income for this country, for our county, or?
So the primary, there's several pieces there, but the primary piece ends up being now that everything is direct certification. It used to be when families could fill out the educational benefits form and that would feed into that formula. So now the compensatory aid formula it's essentially by building. So it's each building has its own compensatory funding rate. And that is based on your free and reduced lunch applications or that go along with that. So currently our rates are lower than probably what we've experienced when people were filling them out pencil and paper, because there are just not as many that are direct certification. So
it's still a function of the free and reduced plan? I thought that was being eliminated.
the forms have been eliminated. So it's only the direct certification. So if anybody qualifies for any kind of state or county aid in the form of, benefits or SNAP benefits or something along those lines. And not all families seek those out.
And that's an ongoing, that's ongoing.
As of right now, it's not a shut door, but it's not wide open.
Any more comments?
No.
All right. Moving forward to the business items, first up is the resolution of compliance or non-concurrence of calendar year 25 and 26. 2025 and 26.
So this, our APAC is the ones that, so Jasmine and Therese, if you'd like to join us. So what this is the opportunity for us to work with our Native community on educational programming and impacts that we work together with. I like to make sure that we're doing the best we can for our Native families. So the APAC, typically what they end up doing is there's a resolution of concurrence or non-concurrence, which Jasmine will present.
Well, Hamadak Yapi, hello relatives. My name is Jasmine Fiddler, Chair of APAC.
I'm Sherry Steeples and I'm Vice Chair.
And tonight, Shante Urick, who is our secretary, couldn't be with us. I typically kind of wrote out quite a few things that we've done within the district this year. We had pretty big dreams, so we strived for them. But I'll just start off with going right into it. So we are the elected officials of both communities of Red Wing and Prairie Island. We are in partnership with Prairie Island Indian Community, and our American Indian Education Director, Keenan Humphrey, is our employee in the district. But today we also wanted to take a moment to acknowledge our council member Danny Campbell, who recently resigned, just for her outstanding contributions and exceptional leadership role while serving with our APAC. Some of the progress that we made as a committee that we're excited to share is that this year we followed the chain of command. I know a lot of you remember me coming in with Honoring Dakota Project. Well, I followed the chain of command to ask APAC and put in a request if I could serve as a dualship under the Honoring Dakota Project, and that was approved. So this year we moved forward with developing a TP committee, which are two local community members, Isaac and Kami Weston, and we're in collaboration with the district and the city. We also work with the local police department, so they are in route checks when those TPs are displayed to prevent any potential damages or harm. Those TPs typically arise in the spring, and we take them down in the fall and store them for the winter. We made really big impacts with building relationships between students and liaisons. We created a Student of the Month award for both the boy and girl at each grade level to be highlighted for their remarkable achievements each month. It's really pivotal for the American Indian people to have these relationships with their liaisons rather than a transactional. It just provides assurance for the students whom they're all connected in the district. We further advanced our initiatives by launching after-school programs tailored to the American Indian students and their families within the district. It is labeled Lifeways After-School Program. It features collaborative sessions with artists and knowledge keepers, focusing on hands-on culturally relevant instructions and arts, with our inaugural session being student-led. So our first program was led by one of the Native American students here in the district. That was to help support, to bring more confidence with them and their personal growth, to show that This is a form of supporting them into a new avenue. Artistry is a big thing up and coming within Indigenous communities. So that's what we wanted to introduce within this school to bring families and students and everybody together. We worked APAC, Honoring Dakota Project. We worked with the Native American Student Associations on many events this year, starting off with students taking a field trip to Winona to do a plant harvest. We collaborated also developing impactful educational teachings. We created 4 presentations with the NASA students. The one was being a good relative, the do's and don'ts of traditional clothing and jewelry, the 4 directions, and the story of Turtle Island. Honoring Dakota Project supported each teaching with a $100 donation, trusting the Native Student Association with the decision-making with the donation. That was just to kind of give them that experience with teaching and learning from their perspective. So they all narrated those teachings themselves. Their liaison and NASA has access to those. We're just waiting on final forms to see if we want to broaden that for the district to have. So that way the younger generation can hear their older siblings being teaching. Our partnership extended further. We hosted the first Indigenous Artist Market here for Native American Heritage Month. Our NASA students also participated and made handcrafted ribbon skirts for the market. The event came complete with educational components that supported their Spirit Week here in the district. We facilitated a family movie night, which was really good feedback. They wanted to expand that more for the coming year. We collaborated on a winter solstice meal. Students prepared a meal and listened to elders' teachings. We participated in a traditional canoe boil teaching located on Prairie Island Indian community. And then just recently within the district here, Honoring Dakota Project and Land and Environment presented how to work with Chinchasha, which is red willow or red osier dogwood. Later, NASA students demonstrate and taught their peers how to harvest Chinchasha or red willow, which is one of the 4 traditional medicines to the Dakota people. So we were able to perform our duties by working together with our American Indian Education Director of Red Wing School District, Keenan Humphrey, American Indian Education Director of Tinkalita, Johnny Johnson, the Prairie Island Tribal Council, the Director of Teaching and Learning, Emily Seafelt, alongside with our liaisons of the Red Wing School District. Does anyone have any comments or questions before I get into my next part?
You've been busy.
Yes. I had, well, growing up here, that was one of the many things is that I wish I had that for myself as a form of representation to feel more uplifted. Because like I said, I moved here from South Dakota. So we did have relatives on Prairie Island, but here I was wondering where I fit in. Because growing up in South Dakota, I had an aunt right down the street. We did activities. Growing up here, I was kind of isolated, and understanding the dualship and the relationship between Red Wing and Prairie Island and how we could bridge those communities together has always been the sole purpose of why I'm here. And I couldn't do this alone without our APAC or our community members or the parents or the students that support it, and so many, just seeing how much they progressed alone and doing a lot of independent things by themselves. I know for Native American Heritage Month, some students took it upon themselves to sing their traditional flag song every morning. That was their idea. When it came to Chief Red Wing Day, the NASA students wanted to collaborate and speak on the microphone to give that teaching from their perspective and understanding their history. What was the other thing that I'm missing? Oh, the NASA students wanted to start going into younger grades with the younger students and creating a collaboration of a buffalo drawing. We received so many good feedback with the Dakota language within the district. So Yeah.
Can I just add something? This is for you guys.
Yeah.
So the leadership that Jasmine, Sharice, and Danny have brought to APAC has been remarkable. So I have I've been here a long time just to see like the monthly classes and like I got to be blessed to be participating in some of them and see them. And I don't know if I have enough words to say the remarkable things that you have done in the last year and a half.
Yes.
I
And
just wanted to share.
especially that, the thing that's so greatly appreciated is just how student-centered everything is. Because seeing some of the young people just really kind of open up in a way that I've not seen before has really been awesome.
Thank you.
Jasmine, would you say you're targeting all ages, like elementary school, middle school, and high school, or just predominantly the high school?
So right now we've been fixating on the high school. The reason why we did a lot of these demonstrations and teachings with the NASA students is because we wanted them to build up their confidence and start initiating these ideas themselves. And as you can, like I just vocalized, the NASA students personally wanted to start bringing that to the younger grades. And hopefully that will build on to becoming something more in the future. Everything usually comes in slow strides. We listen to the community and the families on what they want or what they need. And then we just kind of figure out how we can, go about enhancing it more for them.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Okay. So as a committee, we've seen that we earn for more policy and procedure for diverse admin and staff in highlights of an emergency, entrusting their safety as they work in our institutions. We have a 29% diverse student to 2% admin and staff. Some admin have vocalized that there wasn't much reassurance of their options on their safety during the current ICE presence in Red Wing. So they're really pivotal on making sure that our students and families feel safe. And if we think about why that number is so off, we have to listen to our community members and support them in any way. So I know there was a lot of policy and procedure put in for the district alone for the students, but there wasn't much for just that small amount of admin and staff. So we can start working towards something that can reassure that they're safe during any other emergencies that may arise. That's one thing we wanted to put in today. Sorry, I'm still getting cold or having a cold.
It's going around.
Yes. And then also additionally, we are requesting an American Indian counselor or family advocate for students to help guide and support in their academic and personal growth. We've received a little bit of feedback from some students who didn't want to attend school or attend class. And I think by having a counselor that understands what they need and how to advocate for them, and just to be another body in these buildings, will be able to help them progress a little bit more and support them. And then our biggest one is always bus safety due to ongoing events and reports from families and students within the communities of Red Wing and Prairie Island. That one is always pivotal. We have to just ensure them. I know that there has been discussion more of, how did you word it? More land assignments coming. So more families will be moving back. And we're gonna have a big expansion of probably more students in this maybe upcoming year or so. And I wanna ensure that they're safe. Younger and older. So until our Indigenous students' needs are being met, today we confidently cannot submit a vote of concurrence at this time.
So given that, thank you both, greatly appreciate it. So it is my recommendation is that we accept receipt of this, resolution of non-concurrence, and then we'll start our work, in addressing them later on.
And we have, we have 60 days to.
Yep.
Yep, yep.
Okay.
Yep, so we've got to process that.
Process it.
At this point, we'd, have a
Just-
motion to accept the receipt of it.
Do I have a motion to accept the receipt of resolution of non-concurrence as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All right, moved by Ms. Schoenfelder, seconded by Ms. Anderson. Any discussion on this from the board?
Did you say how many students you have, NASA students?
NASA students, our president is up there. We have, what would you say?
I mean, we have kids who are non-native that also participate in NASA because it's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you wanted, if you're curious about the enrollment of native youth, is that what you're looking for?
No, I'm just wondering overall.
I mean, there's roughly 60 kids that participate in NASA at any given time. They're not all Native American students that participate in it.
Jasmine, if you'd like to leave that with Emily, we'll take care of it from there.
Thank you both, and thank you for what you're doing in the community. All right. Thank you. Kayla.
Aye.
Jeremy.
Aye.
Rachel.
Aye.
Jennifer.
Aye.
I will also vote aye. Motion to accept the receipt of resolution of non-concurrence is approved. All right, next up, teacher seniority list.
So on the teacher seniority list, these need to be approved on an annual basis. That is in the event that we had to do any kind of layoffs down the line here this spring. So what ends up happening is Kelsey Kuya, our HR director, she sends that out to the teachers group. They look it over, make sure there's any adjustments that need to be made or noted on that. Once this board approves that, then that is the final list, should we have to make any kind of unrequested leaves. So at this point, I would recommend a motion to approve the 2026 teacher seniority list as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Tiff, seconded by Ms. Schoenfelder. Any discussion on the seniority list?
So you said this was reviewed by your staff?
Yes.
With Kelsey? If there are errors in this, would they just bring that back for resolution to the board?
The errors should be noted, and this is the final one. So if something, if we ended up making some kind of reductions, they've had the opportunity, they had 10 days where they could review it. So then this is the final document.
You say they, all the staff?
Yes.
Look at this.
Teachers union.
Any further questions? All right, Rachel,
Oh, aye. Sorry.
Jennifer,
Aye.
Kayla.
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
and I will also vote aye. 2026 teacher seniority list is approved. All right, transportation RFQ.
Okay, we have been working on transportation for quite some time here. We had our initial quotes that came in back in the middle of December. So Tom Watson has been assisting me as we've gone through this process. So at this point, I would recommend the motion to reject First Student's quote submitted in December 10th. Contract years would have been July 26th through 29th with an option to extend. So my recommendation that we just reject that quote, and then that will allow us the opportunity to work to see if we can come up with another plan. Tom, do you have anything that you would like to add in regards to this?
I would just say,
Tom, if you could, if you wouldn't mind, please. Okay. So Tom has been pivotal as we've been working through this. He's been working with me and Chris pretty extensively as we've gone back and forth.
December 10th.
Yep.
The thing I would add to it is that when we set this out, I distributed the RFQ, the request for quotation. Now, you're familiar with bids. There's one section of that same contract law for K-12 education that allows us to use what we call quotations, not sealed bids, and it could be subject to direct negotiation as well, which we typically do. You can only imagine that if you're thinking about that whole bus operation, can you imagine what a sealed bid might look like? So we basically approached the provider that has submitted a quotation. In this case, it was First Student. We got a complete proposal from them. We also got another proposal, and we got a couple of other letters of confirmation that they would be interested in having a contract with the district. And so as a result of all of that, we went through a good deal of analysis. We did talk with First Student and exchange counter offers 3 times over the past month. Question you might ask is, what takes 3 times? Well, part of the business with transportation is kind of a crazy thing. Some of these organizations that we might be interested in, or we're part of the 7 providers that we submitted to, are small operators. So one of the pieces that's very common in that situation is they're small operators, they're small overhead companies. Economics is very different than when you work with a big national firm like First Student. And so we couldn't get anywhere. We couldn't get that resolved. And I would just tell you 3 things that kind of held us up. Number 1, the proposed increase that we had when we opened their quotation turned out to be just under 11% a year. That combined with the increases the previous 2 years totaled 25%. So these were large increases over that 3-year period. Your superintendent and I had a few conversations about what is acceptable. What have you got in the budget? You know, how much money have you got to spend that you can't find a home for, that we would spend on busing or something? You know, he sat just like, you know, he was expressionless when I asked that question. In any event, we also had a couple of other situations. First Students had an experience in not being able to attract and retain a number of local individuals to be bus drivers. At the present time, Phil told me just the other day, that number is 7 non-locals. They're coming in from Oakdale in the Twin Cities, Rochester, and in this case, 2 are out of California. And so you have up till now been paying for the added cost of per diem, lodging, that sort of thing for those individuals. We didn't agree with that. We thought that was a cost of doing business. In other words, when you signed on and knew that there were 32 different bus routes every day, that you would have been able to do that. The economy is, you know, unemployment and employment levels are low. So that was one. Number 2, on fuel, the district has been buying or reimbursing First Student for fuel. We thought it should be a shared cost. In other words, we'd never know when gas prices are going to go up or go down or wherever they're going to go over the course of a term of a contract that might be 4 or 5 years, as in your case. And so we couldn't come to an agreement on that. By rejecting the proposal formally, we did put it out there and we published and we did it all correctly. In this particular case, what stays live is the fact that there is a public notice posted in the Red Wing paper that it asked parties to be, if they were interested in this service, to contact the district. And at that point was with a quotation. Now we can actually use the same thing with some direct negotiation. And my last comment to that is we have actually 2 parties that we know something about, First Student and one other. There's 5 more that received this information back in November, that 2 of whom had written to Bob and said they would be interested if all else fails. In other words, these other options. And the other 3 are parties that have called me, because I know them, and simply said, if Red Wing is unable to complete a contract with First Student, give me a call. This happens to be one of those popular contract periods, starting right after the first of the year and then into end of March, pretty much. So that's kind of where we are. And at the conclusion, you're accepting the rejection or completing the recommendation to reject is also asking the administration to bring back a recommendation on another party. And we'll start with those contacts with that other 6, turns out to be 6 parties. Find out what we got. Any questions that you may have? That's kind of the highlight.
Thank you, Tom.
Bob told me not to get in the weeds.
Yeah, thank you for the help on this, Tom, appreciate it.
So you'll probably hear from us again. The advice will be to these parties, we have to go to the school board on March 24th, which is your next meeting. And so 3 weeks from now, we're going to be done. So we could use the last week to get in your agenda.
All right.
So I'll
All right.
make a motion then to decline the RFQ by first student.
Second.
All right, motion by Ms. Schoenfelder, second by Ms. Anderson. Any further discussion on the motion?
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Jeremy. All right. Rachel.
Aye.
Jennifer.
Aye.
Kayla.
Aye.
And I will also vote aye. Motion to reject the first student quote is approved. All right. Committee and liaison assignments. Yep. One question, we don't have Jim and Teresa here, are we okay with just going forward? All right. There's, the only change I have from last year is I will be taking the chair on the labor management. And Jim and I will just be flip-flopping. Other than that, it's the same, gonna be the same committee assignments as last year, so. Do you have a motion to approve the committee assignments?
So moved.
Second. All right, motion by Ms. Schoenfelder, second by Mr. Koenig. Any discussion on the committees? All right, Kayla.
Aye.
Jeremy. All right, Rachel.
Aye.
Jennifer.
Aye.
And I will also vote aye. Committee assignments are approved. All right, next up, school board compensation.
So we discussed some of this in the workshop this last time, and my recommendation based upon those conversations is that the 2026 rate remains the same as the 2025 rate. So those are unchanged.
Do I have a motion to approve the school board compensation rates?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Schoenfelder, seconded by Ms. Tift. Any discussion on that? All right, Jennifer.
Aye.
Kayla.
Aye.
Jeremy. All right, Rachel.
Aye.
And I will also vote aye. School board compensation is approved. Okay, next up, update on the 26-27 school calendar.
Okay, so we had some changes in our contract with the, we approved the teacher contract here last month, so we've got some changes that need to be made to the calendar, and Ms. Seafeld will present those for us.
Yes, I'm gonna show, oh, you guys have way too many tabs open, give me 1 second. Here are the proposed changes for the calendar, here we go. So the main changes that we have is you're gonna notice, and the original version of 26-27 was approved, I believe, last March. So the main change to the calendar for next school year is the workshop week is going to a 4-day versus a 6-day, and that has to do with the changes to the teacher contract. And then the other changes that we made is we didn't have any PD days in like the middle of the winter and the spring. So we added a professional learning day in February and also one in May as well.
It's really nice to be able to add those additional professional development days, particularly during the middle of the year, even into the end.
Yeah, and the May one we already have a plan for. I know that we will be training all of our K-6 staff on our new literacy adoption that will start in the fall of 27. So that May date actually will be used for that training of that new curriculum.
My recommendation to approve the amended calendar for 26-27.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any further, I'm sorry. Motion made by Ms. Schoenfelder, seconded by Ms. Anderson. Any discussion on this? How many days off for Christmas this year?
It's right there.
Too many.
They're going till the 23rd.
There
So, oh yeah, they're coming on a Monday and Tuesday, so,
we go.
yeah.
All right,
Alhassa depends where everything falls too, so.
all right. Any further discussion on this?
Or can I just ask a question? Total student days is 169. What's the mandated?
You have to have a minimum of 165. It's actually the most we've had in years. We've been at 167, so we're slowly getting up there. We still have less PD days, even with adding those in, because we are at the end of our phase 1 training for READACT, which had our most staff. That's about 70 staff over the last couple of years that do that. And so we needed that time within contract time, because it's about 55, 60 hours a year for that training. So it's the most we've had in a while, but 169, we need to have 165. So from a snow day perspective, there's 4 traditional snow days built in.
Thank you.
Yep. And then the 5 e-learning days that we are always allowed to have, so.
Any more comments? All right, Kayla.
Aye.
Jeremy. Aye. Rachel.
Aye.
Jennifer.
Aye.
And I will also vote aye. I'm sorry, now. Update to the school board calendar is approved. All right. Fastbridge and, I'm gonna butcher this, CACR, right?
CACR, the acronym for the very long name of that.
Yeah.
Before I get to the data part, you also have a copy of all of this as well. I had Lisa drop that off. The principals are here as well if you have any questions for building specific. One thing to note, fall to winter Fastbridge isn't actually half of the year yet. So from a scope and sequence of a curriculum standpoint, we haven't covered half of the content. So it's always important to note when you look at winter data, because we're always, where are they at the spring? But it is a great benchmark to see where we are, but it's also a little bit of an odd placement of when winter Fastbridge comes. And that testing window is actually a district-wide window that is followed, so.
So there's a spring test too?
There's spring, yes. So we tend to see the best from fall to spring versus fall to winter. I'll give an example for kindergarten. So you need to have so many letter sounds by the winter Fastbridge, but depending on our scope and sequence, may not actually have covered all of them because they would have started early reading the week after winter break. So that's always my lens when I look at winter, right? It's not even truly halfway through. And because it's not the end of the year, it's a little bit, you have to analyze, did we get to this topic yet or hit that where we are for what it's tested? So I did an overall by district and building. If we ever want by grade level, that would be a board workshop because that takes a lot more time and discussion. So on the far left of each one is the overall of the district. So the average and then by building. High school, you're gonna notice right away, and here's what I will tell you about high school. Mr. Fuchs and I talked about this. Difference between fall and winter, the high school kids knew in the fall that if they did not do well on the Fastbridge, they would have to take the CAPTE read basics. It was a new requirement. So there was if this doesn't happen, we are required to have you do CAPTE. That isn't a requirement from the state in the winter. So that was not there. So that's a little lens. That's my lens when I look at that one. So we have a 1% difference down. This is proficiency though. This is not growth. I have growth as well. I want to note Sunnyside. So for reading, we talked about that we implemented UFly last year. That is our first group. Our K2 literacy data was fantastic, both from proficiency and from growth. So it is like, it's showing that new foundational phonics is working as we watch those kids grow, because both K1 and 2 all went up in proficiency and had a fantastic growth as well. So that is by building.
So before you move to the next slide.
Yes.
Can you explain what you were doing at the high school again? What you're reading?
So
was it an elective?
No, so it's actually a requirement from the READACT. The READACT has very specific academic screening requirements. A new one that was put in place by the state this year is we have to use Fastbridge one time a year. We did the fall as a gated screening. So gated screening is Fastbridge is first. If you don't get grade level proficient on Fastbridge, then you have to do this. That was called the CAPTE Read Basics. So we actually had like lessons during one of the 4th hour of like explaining the new process. Here's what it works. it's okay if you have to take CAPT, right? Like just do your best. But we had a little bit more of like, we want to do your best. We wanted everybody to be aware that like now there's another step. And that one actually takes 2 days to take CAPT Read Basics. So that's required by the state for all schools in Minnesota this year. We didn't get to pick CAPT, that was given to us. And that's grades 4 through 12 all had to do that one time a year. We've learned a lot with the new one. Different time, probably not now. We're actually doing some changes to our academic screening grades 4 through 12 that we learned with CAPT that will be in place next year. So
we took the tests, but it just wasn't successful.
for CAPT, all of the state required this year is you had to take it one time. It's their first year of doing it, and that is the guidance from the state.
Regardless of your fast bridge testing.
Nope.
Only if you had to.
You took, so everybody let's just say high school, 9th through 12th grade, all took 8th through 12th grade, all took fast bridge A reading in the fall. If they were not at grade level, then they had to take CAPT as well.
Just those select students.
Just those select students that weren't at grade level.
Yep.
But there's a little bit more encouragement here to take your time and do your best so you don't have to do that part, right? That was only a requirement once this year.
So when they took it in the winter, they didn't have that kind of hanging over their heads. So it was a little less motivation perhaps.
It's also less students in that data because in the winter, juniors and seniors are not required to take fast bridge, and they typically haven't been. We've always done it through 10th grade, but because of the new requirements of the fall, we had to do it through 12th grade.
Something that I found striking recently was you'd sent out information regarding our MCAs. And last year, I thought I remember you saying the average test time was X amount of minutes, I'll just say.
Yep.
And you did indicate in the email that it takes about an hour and a half to take this test.
That is how long the test should take if students take their time. So that is the time frame. There's an entire document from MDE that lists each MCA by grade and subject and how long it should take. Yeah, I can analyze that
That was
too.
very
Yeah.
informative.
But yeah, so the ones I sent out, depending on your building, typically the state will say they should take an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail you.
No, you're good.
Can I add?
Yeah.
So just to, looking at the high school, even just in the fall, the blue bar, would that assume then that 31% of our students in the high school aren't reading at grade level and had to take the CAPT class?
Yes.
How does that sit with you?
It's not gonna sit great with me. That's why we have meetings and we talk at principals, like how can we implement different levels of intervention? And it's hard it's hard because I know the research of like change takes time, right? And it's all of that. So we definitely have things we need to work on.
So what is the plan when you see that high percent of kids not reading at grade level? What do you do with that going from there?
We look at high school specifically because we have different intervention levels in our elementaries. Is how do we find time within a traditional high school schedule to provide those interventions, specifically to students that are under general education, right? And what does that look like? And what are programs that we can use as well? And how do we utilize staffing and different pieces like that as well? It's quite a bit more challenging, I will tell you, in a traditional high school schedule to fit that in.
So do you identify the kids who are not at that level and figure out on an individual basis what to do with those kids? Or that's what I'm, curious about how the 31% of kids are just not getting missed and they just keep getting tested in the winter and getting tested in the spring and just making sure that
that's making
there's
sure that
growth.
like as teachers you're looking at data and like also realizing the different levels of intervention. That intervention doesn't necessarily mean outside of the classroom. It means how do you fit that into a tier 1 within a classroom as well. And looking at that 31% too, you would need to analyze who is already receiving services, who might be on IEPs as well. We do have 22% of our school district population receiving special education services as well. So, but there is growth to do. And then I'm able to collaborate with the other big 9 directors of teaching and learning too. We talk about this. I had a different meeting last week. We all looked at our fall to winter data. I will actually say I want a lot of growth. When I met with my district literacy leads across Southeast Minnesota the other week, we did pretty good from fall to winter. But no, there's a lot of different things we need to do, and it's also, a lot of it will always come down to funding, right? Like, how do you fund general intervention teachers? How do you fund instructional coaches? How do you build in those, meet the credits that you need in high school and find time for that intervention as well? And I don't have a perfect answer. If anybody has anything they want to add, I don't have a perfect answer for it right
I want
now.
to go back to what I presented last year about, this is what we were doing around reading literacy, because we knew this number was going to pop up. This is not a Red Wing High School thing. This is a state issue, which is why they implemented the READ Act. And, you know, we do have a high percentage of students on special ed, but the goal is to get them reading at grade level, because literacy is the key to success and freedom, right? And so it was of no surprise, and to Jeremy, your question, like, pass the test the first time in the fall, you're motivated not to take the second test. There's no motivation the second time around, because they don't see the implication for like purpose. There's no grade attached to it. We can't hold a grade attached to it. And this is where I released 2 teachers to do coaching with teachers around literacy, tier 1 instruction to what Emily's speaking about. But there's not a dedicated position to that. And past solutions, which haven't been working across the state, were to take a kid's choice away and to give them, they lose an elective, they get an intervention, then lose motivation for the classes that they're choosing most that impact their desire to be at school at times. So this is where we're exploring different intervention models. And the reason why I put club time in last year was to lead to this for the future, knowing that this was coming down the road. Because that CAPTE test being a requirement for the state is them testing to see where's the state at, what do we need to do further with this policy and create new mandates.
And we're still in the middle of it, so we talked a lot about like the professional learning of teachers. High school teachers are next year. They haven't been part of the READ Act training yet. So phase 2 is high school, and that starts next year. And where you really get to the root of it is also understanding. We get to high school and we might think they don't understand what they read. It's reading comprehension, but it's not. So reading comprehension is the combination of word recognition and language comprehension. So if you have a deficit in reading comprehension, it's one of those 2. But it's also getting teachers, because they haven't had that training, right, on that piece of it as well, that structured literacy and what that looks like. And that is starting with that, but also then identifying what tools we can do for that. And CAPTE does, so when I talk about our change for next year, CAPTE gives really great data, more in depth than I would say than FastBridge, to get if it's a word recognition or a language comprehension, because that's the issue. It's not reading comprehension. If you are solid in both those skills, then you have reading comprehension. And then language comprehension is like 4 different skills built into that.
Does your next slide kind of touch more on the progress that you're making?
It's the
more so?
growth, yeah, the
Right,
growth,
'cause
yeah.
You said change takes time, right?
Change takes
All you
time,
really try
and
to
then-
do is better than-
Yeah, and like if you think of like growth for a kid, the proficiency is the mile marker, right? It's like where I'm at on the road, but the growth is how fast am I going? So if you look at growth right here, green and blue is what we want to see. That's our typical and our aggressive. They are actually at what you expect. So I want them higher, but you actually want your, from a statistic standpoint, your typical and aggressive to be 50% or above. I want to see higher than that, but we are typically where we want to see that as well. But you can also see 22% aggressive across the district. I think that's a pretty good start. I want to see that higher, but that's a great percentage right there as well. And then if you look at Sunnyside and all of those, this is still reading, we'll get to math in a second. And that is the growth that we are seeing. I don't have it analyzed, obviously, with the time frame broken down of like, is it the kid that started behind that has the most aggressive? That's a much deeper data analysis than we have time for at this meeting, but that's just the overall. Questions on the growth one?
I guess I see that as encouraging because the green and blue are, I guess, why would you include yellow versus the flat? Is flat also regressive?
Flat is not. Flat is that you're in the 15th percentile. So out of 100 kids, you're in the 15. It's technically yellow. I had to switch it to orange for modest because you couldn't read the yellow. So typically when we look at data, the modest would be a different color, but like you couldn't read it on my slides. So. Any more questions on this one?
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier that when you got together with the other big
Yeah.
9 schools, was it growth that was encouraging, or was it the?
We got actually more of the proficiency one.
Okay.
And so it's big 9, but my other one is, because I'm our district local literacy lead, everybody has to have one identified for READ Act. I meet with the other district literacy leads across Southeast Service Cooperative. And so we had a meeting last week where we just got into breakout rooms and talked about it. And it was okay, I guess, to see that we are similar or better, not like, and no one was happy. And we did a lot of time of like, what are you doing? So I talked a lot about like, what are we doing in K2? Because a lot of them were seeing drops in their lower elementary. So here's what we're doing, here's what we implemented, here's what it looks like. But it's just a time to collaborate and see what other districts are doing as well. But some had more significant drops than we did.
Can I jump in, Emily?
Yeah.
To Emily's point, I was a few weeks ago at the Minnesota Elementary School Principals Association conference, and I attended a breakout session that was put on by some folks from Lake Bear Lake School District. And it was the theme of this session was seeing good growth in kindergarten and then sort of flatlining in first grade. And they started by saying, how many of you in this room, and it was a room full of principals, how many of you in this room are here because you're seeing that same sort of thing, good growth in kindergarten and flat in first grade, and just about every single person in the room. So it's not a Red Wing specific problem. I think in that case, statewide, we're seeing some of those same issues and trying to figure out together how do we get better with this.
And some of the metrics, I always give the example, move really quickly. So an interesting thing about all the Sunnyside data is they do early reading and early math. It's not apples to apples. The subtests and the composites change each time. So we're not comparing it, but one that stays the same is letter sound. So to be at grade level in the fall, you need 3. To be at grade level, and I said this wrong the other day, Bob, it's actually less, but still to be at grade level now in the winter, okay, and think of all that time just learning to do school, right? You need to be at like 20. That's a pretty big jump in the first few months. So often that's what we'll see in the spring that they got there, but some of them move, it moves pretty quickly. And as we talked about, like, it's always moving further away, which is why you need the aggressive growth if you're behind to catch up. Math is our next one. So that is the overall proficiency. And then growth is on the next slide. And we are in the middle of math adoption. So there's some, K5 is in their first implementation of the new math this year. So you do, from research standpoint, and we didn't see it in every grade, you actually expect a tiny bit of a dip the first year of a new curriculum. And then grades 6 through Algebra 2 will actually implement their new math curriculum starting in the fall. That decision was made about a week ago. But if you look at growth, Burnside had a ton of growth in math. If you look between their aggressive and their typical, but even if you look at that across the board, they're great. What I want to see in that fall to spring is that flat and modest to go down and that green and blue to go up more from a growth standpoint. But no, we do 3 times a year, so it'll be in May when we do FAST. It's actually right up, depending on your building, it's very close to the end of MCAs. Then it goes into that FAST bridge window. Any questions on that?
Generally, it looks like we're exceeding that 15 percentile.
Yeah, you want 50% between the two, yeah. So
Sorry,
there's
15th percentile,
yes.
grade or flat.
Yeah. Well, to be flat, you're in the 15th percentile.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which is still a function of
Yeah.
your population to be a 15 percentile.
Mm-hmm.
Emily, this is
Yeah.
a completely loaded question, and
Okay, ready?
might even go to the principals too.
I can't help but think that some of this is the kids not doing a lot at home with reading or math.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, some of it, you know, and that, not just in Red Wing, across the, let's just say across the nation. Is it during conferences, does that come up with parents at all, or is that something that is not really asked on that? From a teacher standpoint, is that, and I guess I hope it's a clear question, but I'm just kind of wondering.
Is that a focal point of your
Yeah.
conferences?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I can only speak for Sunnyside, but I know our teachers are generally pretty good about suggesting, here are some things you can do at home to help as well. You know, I think some of this is just a function of families that are working and not necessarily the resources. I think going back to the very beginning slide, you know, pretty consistently the last couple of years in kindergarten in the fall, we've started in the low 40s proficient, which means about 60% of our students are coming in sort of already a little behind before they got there. You know, and so, yeah, I think there's a lot of things that have an impact.
Oh, yeah, two parents working, by the time we get done with dinner, it's bedtime, especially for the younger students, yeah, it doesn't spray, I was just curious about that, so, all right.
Any other questions on FAST before I go to the CACR update? So mid-year on our comprehensive achievement and civic readiness goals. That first goal has kindergarten students will be in typical or aggressive growth from fall to spring. So we have fall to winter. Our goal at the end of the year is 80%, and fall to winter we have 76% of kindergartners in the typical or aggressive growth category. So making very significant, I think, progress, I would say, on that. So we'll see where we end in spring. The second goal is the reducing academic achievement gaps for students. Reading actually increased the percents. We started the year at a 10 percentage point gap, and now we're up to 17. And math stayed fairly the same. It went down by almost 1%. Like, so one increased, one went steady. I need to do some further analysis actually on this one as well. And this is just K5 we're actually looking at too. So not K12, this is K5. But that is the current status for goal 2. Goal number 3 is that 75% of graduates will earn credits from a course eligible for college credit. And we'll have at least 50% of graduates engaged in an internship or independent study. Currently, where we're enrolled with semester 1 and currently with semester 2, we have 77% earning college credits, and we have 50% engaged in internships this year.
For those students that are not in the internship programs, have we told them at all to see what interest they have that perhaps aren't being available?
MIC actually meets with all seniors in the first semester about their aspirations as well. And then who's interested in an internship and who's not. Sometimes they're not interested either. Also, from a capacity standpoint, if every senior wanted an internship, which would be great, we would also need an additional FTE. Because there's supervisory roles with MDE that come with being the internship supervisor. So we would actually need to add staff as well. But every student that wants an internship, MIC will find one for.
Do you see any of these students feeling overwhelmed by the title of an internship versus what it actually is just, you know, exposing them to the workforce? In some cases at least.
MIC would be able to answer that question far better than me. Mine would just be able to be the internships that I see that are in the district office or that I encounter. So MIC would be able to do that quite better than me. So I'm not going to probably answer that for him.
Yeah, I wish I would have thought of it earlier.
Yeah, like I can ask him, but I'm not sure on that one.
So 62 kids is 50% of our seniors?
MIC gave me the 50%, and I did just catch that as I said it.
I thought it was a lot less. 62 kids was less than 50%.
It is off of what
Say
you
internship or independent study.
or independent study, yeah. So
Okay, I don't know what independent studies.
yeah, well, and it depends. So we also have like some students that so Knoppelsdorf is a great example. That's through Learn and Earn. So it's an internship program, but it's not an internship through us. So that is actually, they're part of GCD for that because that's their Learn and Earn grant. So I will get clarification on the 50%.
Keep in mind too, that there are more kids engaged in internships too that are not seniors. Just that kind of throws the number off too, so make sure.
Yeah, because it doesn't say seniors, it's that graduates will have engaged, so.
I'm not sure how they exactly measure that percent considering it's across grade levels.
Yeah, I have a note right here.
Because he said 62 seniors
Mm-hmm.
versus students.
There are other, I mean, also keep in mind, like those internships happen throughout different parts of the day. Like how does it work in a kid's schedule? Kids are doing OJT over internships sometimes. We try to align them when they work, like to say like their current job experience can count as their internship as well, and they get opportunities to explore other things. Like we have a kid that's working at Walmart already, but like he wants to pursue a career at Walmart. So like what is the opportunity for an internship to exist there? But there's not a partnership yet to kind of like figure those kind of pieces out of what does it mean to understand like executive functions at the store like Walmart versus currently a card attendant or a cashier. And then just transportation, like kids being able to get themselves to internships, time of day, those kind of factors.
Goal number 4, my update is MD doesn't actually release the official graduation data from the previous school year till March. So we talked about that when the CACR was presented in the fall, that it's not based off of our data because it's a specific data point from freshman year that's used for your Minnesota report card data on graduation. So that will be released, it's usually mid-March that it comes out in the Minnesota report card. And then our last CACR goal was that 95% of high school students will have completed or updated their 4-year plan mapping out the rest of the courses, need to meet grad requirements. I'm not going to read that whole paragraph, you can see that. We did start that process. Counselors had redesigned and created a planning form, and the counselors in MIC have been meeting with students. I don't have the exact percentage of where we are right now, but that has started. So the goal is 95% by spring. I'm not sure we're reaching 95% the first year. There's a little bit more process to put in place with that change. But I'm hoping that we'll get fairly close as well. And then we'll have a plan in place to start the school year for that as well. But they have a meeting with students.
We feel we have sufficient counselors to cover the demand.
That's a loaded question.
That's a really great question, Jeremy. And we're tight. It's tight.
I mean, my school had one.
Yeah.
I just thought, well, I could have gotten better counseling.
Yep.
But I can't say I was seeking it as a teenager either.
But as you heard earlier from Jasmine, we have our native population and being able to have a counselor that can meet some of their needs. So there's a need.
Any other questions?
Thank you very much, Emily.
You're welcome.
Very informative.
Yeah, we can do this in the spring, and if you ever want more in depth by grade levels and things like that, that'd be a great workshop meeting.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, amend the meeting schedule.
So coming up in April, I've got a conference that I need to attend, so I will not be available on Tuesday the 14th. So I would recommend a motion to move the workshop to Tuesday, April 7th. So just move the workshop up by 1 month.
Make a motion to approve the amended schedule.
Second.
Motion by Jeremy Koenig, seconded by Kayla Anderson. Any discussion on the motion? All right. Kayla.
Aye.
Jeremy.
Aye.
Rachel.
Aye.
Jennifer. And I will also vote aye. Motion to amend the 2026 meeting schedule is approved. All right. Upcoming meetings and future topics. I've got our next workshop Tuesday, March 10th
That is actually, it's actually on Monday, March 9th, because Tuesday is township elections. So it is Monday, March 9th. At 5 p.m.
You're gonna take bets on who misses that one.
I will give you mine.
Who we got? Correction, yeah, our next workshop will be Monday, March 9th. All right. Anyone else have any, future topics to discuss? All right. With that, do I have a motion for adjournment?
So motion.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Schoenfelder, seconded by Mr. Koenig. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Meeting adjourned.